All right, good evening, Titans. This is Mr. Simpson. This is lesson 3.6, titled Transformations of Graphs of Linear Functions. The first core concept that we're going to cover today are translations. A translation is a transformation that shifts a graph horizontally or vertically, but does not change the size, shape, or orientation of the graph. So first of all, horizontal translations. Again, horizontal will shift the graph either left or right. If this black line is our original function, then the red line would be shifted to the left, and the blue line would be shifted to the right. And again, we'll kind of explain how this happens on the next slide. And then vertical translations, it would move up or down. Now the main thing with the horizontal translation is you have to notice is that if the original function is y equals f of x, and the translated function would be y equals f of x minus h, the x minus h is inside the parentheses, and that is what shifts the graph horizontally. If you look at a vertical translation, again, the original function is y equals f of x. Then the vertical translated function, notice this time what's being added is or subtracted is on the outside of the function, and that will shift the graph up or down. So if we take a look at this first example, our original function, our f of x, is equal to 2x minus 1. Well, now what we're going to do is our g of x is the same function, the f of x, but we're going to increase it by 3. So what that does is if I have my graph, my original function was 2x minus 1, so it has an intercept of a negative 1, a slope of 2, so I go up 2 over 1, and I make my graph. Now, because this function is f of x plus 3, then this makes it have a vertical translation of 3 units up. So I just move every point 3 units up. So I take my y-intercept and I shift that 3 units up. So now instead of being at a negative 1, it's going to be up at 2. And again, horizontal and vertical translations do not change the shape of the graph at all. It just shifts it up or down. So then it would have the same slope, so it would actually be parallel to my original function. If we take a look at the next one, again, our original function is f of x equals 2x minus 1, but now my translated function, t of x they call it, is going to be f of x plus 3. Now because what's being done is on the inside of the parentheses, now this is going to create a horizontal shift. And this is actually going to shift it 3 to the left. You may think, well, how is that 3 to the left when it's x plus 3? Well, the way I think about it is what value would I have to plug in for x to make what's inside the parentheses go to 0? And that's a negative 3, which is why I say it's 3 to the left. Now, if you think about it, the original thing said f of x minus h is the form, and so to make f of x plus 3 in that form, we'd have to write it as f of x minus a negative 3, and so that's also why it's 3 to the left. So again, if I graph it, and I have a negative 1 here, and I go up 2 over 1, and I graph it, well now, just this point that happened here has to happen 3 to the left. So every point is shifted 3 units to the left. So again, horizontal and vertical translations do not change the shape of the graph at all. It just shifts the graph, whatever the graph is, it just shifts it left or right or up and down.